Welcome to the Man Cave Podcast with Dan Casper.
Jake Bolks, DNR Warden for the great state of Wisconsin. Good morning, Jake. How you doing, bud?
I am doing great. How about yourself?
Can't complain, man. Can't complain. Are you getting ready for the free weekend coming up here this weekend?
I am, but I'm getting ready for it for a different reason, to be honest.
Oh.
So I got invited to go up to Canada this year to do a little bit of fishing. So I'm getting ready for the weekend, but not for work, for a good week off here.
Nice. So just maybe for a reminder here too, for anybody for the free weekend, can you kind of explain what exactly is all free and I know it's fishing and such, but it's a little bit more than fishing too.
Yeah, nope. It's great to bring it up. It's always a fun weekend, and they have it a couple of times a year now. But this free fun weekend now, they call it. It's more than just free fishing, like you said. You can go into the state park system and utilize the parks without having to utilize or pay for any daily fees or anything like that. Again, the free fishing, you don't need any fishing licenses or anything like that. The important thing to note on all of this stuff is that if you go somewhere and it's state-owned property, land, it's a fishing, recreation, whatever, just because the approval to do it's free, like the free fishing, the free state park pass, it doesn't mean that it's just, holds bar, do whatever you want. You still got to follow, the fishing regulations. Like if there's a walleye length limit, you still have to drive the speed limit in the state parks. You still need a camping reservation at the state parks. It's not just show up and you get free camping too. So, so it's just be mindful of that. It's a really fun weekend. It's a great time. It's a really good weekend to get out and do some fishing with the family and stuff like that if you haven't done it yet this year, and then you won't have to worry about if you get checked or anything like that. So
even like just to throw it out there, regulations are still all the same, even though it's a free weekend. Everything else rules wise is the same.
Yeah, and the only reason I kind of bring it up each time, extra specifically, is because, it is what it is, but also I have contacted people in the past where they're like, oh, it's free, they basically, broke all the other rules with the thought that, everything is free, everything is, I can do whatever today. It's not necessarily like that, but it is free licenses, free admission and stuff like that.
Going to some questions here, Jake. So first one coming up here, this was from Bloomer Tony Morning. Sir, question for Jake. What is the standard practice when you get to a boat landing that requires you to pay for a permit through a QR code, but you don't have cell service to complete the transaction?
Yeah, so an important thing to note with like registration payments, vehicle payments, stuff like that, is that depending on what kind of property you're on, depends on who you're technically paying. So if you go to a state park, like we just mentioned, and it's like a state boat launch, then if there's a fee for it, then that goes to the state, and you probably just need to have like your state park pass. Maybe there's some boat launches that have extra monetary amounts, but probably you just need your state vehicle park pass. But most people with those QR codes, like this question is asking, is like you're going to county parks or like city or county boat landings, or maybe like a city or municipal boat landing. Those aren't regulated by the DNR or the state or anything like that. So like if you ever have questions with that, you really want to go to whoever owns or manages that property. So like if you go to like the Altoona County Park, like the boat launch there, the main one for Lake Altoona, if you ever had questions there, you would actually reach out to the Eau Claire County Parks and Forestry. But anyways, if you don't have if you don't have phone service, the best thing to do is usually that's in an area where that's common, so they'll have like a self-registration fee, maybe with some paper, write your truck, write your license plate, put some cash in there. Otherwise, the best thing to do is to maybe make a note saying that you don't have phone service and that you're going to pay for it after you leave the fishing area. Put it on the dash so whatever law enforcement officer or park worker comes by, they can see it and know that you're trying to be in compliance. So you just take those steps to show that you're trying to pay or trying to do the right thing, or if you call and leave a message saying, hey, I can't get it, just do something that shows you're trying to be in compliance. But technically, if there's something that says you're supposed to pay, then you should pay. People ask that same question with fishing licenses. When they go up north, they're like, well, I don't have service, so I can't buy a fishing license, so what am I supposed to do? And kind of the cruel thing to say is just don't go fishing. Because if you don't have a license, you're not supposed to go fishing. So the easiest thing is saying just don't go fishing. And in this case, it would be if you can't pay for it, just don't park there. But I know that's kind of a hard one to just say, just to do it and walk away.
Right. No, that makes total sense. Hey, we had a question come in here last second. Since you're talking about fishing license, do you need a fishing license on private ponds?
If the pond is totally owned by one individual, like one property owner, there's no public access to it, and there's like a history of it potentially being like totally private and privately stocked, then no, technically you would not need them on that. But if the water body has any sort of stream or creek, even if it's like a seasonal one, where someone could walk in there in the springtime in the high water, stuff like that. If they allow public access, if somehow there's like public access or it's not owned by just one person, then yes, they would have to have a fishing license.
Is that something similar to, like, I think we talked about this, like for hunting and those high fenced or, like is it similar to that?
Basically, that's a good way to look at it.
Okay.
Sometimes there's specific situations where maybe someone bought out hundreds and hundreds of acres around like a little pond that historically had some fish in it, and that might have kind of turned it into a private pond per se. But generally, a lot of these are like people have invested their energy and finances into digging it out, buying aerators, putting in liners, and then actually buying fish to stock it. So a lot of time, and then whether they're the ones that do it or they buy a property like that after it's been like that for 10 years, that's usually where people are asking that question. And you wouldn't have to have it there. But if there's ever a gray area, it's a $20 fishing license, a $5 first time fee type thing. So it's not the end of the world if you just buy it too.
Right.
Just to be safe.
Exactly. Hey, Jake, I know this has been brought up a couple times here, too, especially by listeners, but just kind of a quick update on the elk situation. Looks like the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation's offering a reward, too, for any information and such. I didn't know if you wanted to kind of throw that out there. It's just you're still looking for tips, right, or info from the public.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know if we talked about last week or a couple weeks ago, but, these types of cases just take a long time because, we do different types of warrants, we do different types of canvassing and searching, and it's just the nature of the beast is that it just takes a little bit to make sure we cross our T's, dot our I's, do all that. So while we're doing that, there's been a couple organizations that have generously offered to assist with that, and the way they can assist is by offering these rewards. So, like you mentioned, the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation donated $5,000 to a tip that leads to a conviction of the suspect. And the same goes with the Bear and Buck Club out of Wisconsin here. So they did $500. Those, if you're really super interested in monetary amount and you have a tip, I'd encourage you to find that press release and report it through the Jackson County Crime Stoppers. It's just the way we have to legally go through the monetary amount with it is that it just has to be reported through Jackson County. But yeah, there's stuff out there. We're always looking for tips. Doesn't mean that we don't have a bunch of information. It's just that while we're working through it, if people want to offer up other assistance, we're more than happy to work collaboratively with them, and we're much appreciated for it.
Hey, Jake, before I let you go, I know, in the past we've talked about this, but some of the results came out, too, with the public input on some of the hearings and such, and some of the I don't know if you want to call it votes or whatever, but, some of the results kind of came out and such. And first of all, nothing's like official, just because like the public voted for the majority of this.
Correct.
You know, nothing's really official yet or anything like that. But you know, a couple things that kind of popped up too. I know a lot of it's, you know, depending on the area you're at too. But one of them was like the deer. You know, if you get a deer and you don't have to like, you know, bring out the non-edible part. I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but you know, parts you're not using for meat or such, like that seemed to be like in favor for the public too. So is that something, because we see that a lot in the West, right?
Yeah.
With elk hunting.
Yeah. So basically boning out your deer, boning out your animal before you leave. That's definitely something common out West. And I, for whatever reason, I don't know what changed with COVID times, but around COVID times and the last few years, I've had a lot of people call and ask about that or have me clarify it or, to be honest, kind of complain about it. So it wasn't uncommon to see this on there. And I mean, as long as everyone's following the rules, you know, personally, I don't care what the rules are as long as people are following them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that one had a lot of interest. The interesting thing about the spring hearings is like basically every other year is like, one year is kind of like, basically this was kind of like a quote unquote rule changing year, where a lot of these questions that are on it this year have been asked in the past or have already been vetted through the Natural Resource Board or the Conservation Congress or whomever. So if there's a lot of support on these ones, these ones are probably more likely to actually pass and go through. So I would say that's probably going to be a thing. I don't know when they make the changes to this, but that one will be fine. That one will be good. I think people will enjoy that, and there'll be a few other things that come out through this last one that are positive and will help hunters and fishermen and such.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw a few of them too. It looked like, you know, maybe a common thing on there too was panfish limits, kind of adjusting that on certain waterways too.
Yeah. If you went to the spring hearings or filled out the form, the questionnaire, you'll see there was 50 of them. And again, that's because, like, you know, next year it'll be more of like gauging the public on a lot of random things, and some of them you'll never hear about again, and some of them you'll see in 2 years again because it's going to be like a rule change in year. And this year, the fisheries department did a lot of rule cleanup, simplifying stuff, as well as, you know, listening to the public input that, you know, people wanted their lakes to be 10 panfish, or they wanted them to be trophy for muskie or walleye. So there was a lot of fishing questions, a lot of lake changes. So nothing that changes immediately, like you mentioned. It's not like, you know, that comes out and everything's changed. That'll be for next year. But a good reminder, you know, come 2026, that there probably will be a lot of fishing lakes that have different regulations, and rivers, including around our parts.
Mm-hmm. All right, Jake. Hey, before I let you go and then you head off for Canada here, any last words for free weekend or anything like that?
No, just go out, have fun, utilize it. You know, there are some like fish with kid events around the region. Jackson County has a big one. Altoona PD puts one on in association with me and the other local ward, and that one's actually going to be on Monday this year because of Cinder Days and stuff like that.
Oh, that's right. Yep.
I know Lake Hallie has, I think the Optimist Club puts one on. So there's a lot of different things. So if you're looking for, you know, if you're not a huge fisherman or you're trying to get a grandkid out or something, you know, if you Google that kind of stuff, you might be able to find different opportunities that gets you out there, and you can do some free fishing and have someone bring the poles or the bait, or just have someone there that wants to help teach you or teach your kids or whatever the case may be. So just look out for that kind of stuff if you're interested.
All right. Well, hey, best of luck in Canada, and keep us posted on how well you do over there. Okay, bud?
Yeah, I'm hoping. This is my first time I've actually done it.
Nice.
So just to get up there and do something different and check out some new scenery, I'm kind of excited for. So
absolutely,
should be good.
Absolutely. Well, we appreciate the time, man. Enjoy the time up there, and we'll talk to you soon. Okay.
Yeah, we'll talk soon. Have a good one.
You too. There you go. Jake Bolks, Conservation Warden for the state of Wisconsin.